Cheers, Donald. Nice talking with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. We are here. It is freezing cold, and I am trying to stay warm.
It's been like 1 month since you are on tour with Exodus, Prong, and King Parrot. Such a great lineup for the European metalheads. But what response have you gotten from the crowd so far?
Oh, it's been amazing. You know, it is like you said, it is a long tour. We've been out now for nearly 5 weeks, so it's always quite the journey to do this many shows without getting tired or getting sick or ill, and just staying healthy is a true battle. But the reply and responses to the fans have been unbelievable, and you know, it's a great lineup. To have Prong as a part of this as well is just a treat, you know, and the fans are they're getting their money's worth with these bands.
You're back in Bucharest after 10 years, if I'm not wrong. 2 years ago you have played here at Rocksteady Streamfest at Rushnov. But why it took you so long to be back in Bucharest?
Last night it took us 35 hours to make it here. So you guys are too far away from everything, I guess. I don't know, you know, it is a very big planet, Europe and UK. It's also very big countries to cover, and unfortunately we cannot go everywhere, and some places simply get left behind sometimes, and it's sad because, as we know, if you read the social networks with any band, lots of their fans say, please, why not here, why not Ireland, why not Romania? And it's very tough. I mean, this is a long tour for these bands to be out, and we did 29 shows with only 4 days off, so it's non-stop for us. But unfortunately you can't always make it every country every time.
10,000 Ways to Die is your recent release, including 2 studio songs, and the rest of the album contains live albums. But are these 2 songs recorded during the Intim Blog session?
No, these were recorded after the touring for Inked in Blood. So these are songs that are a taste of the new album, and it's giving people an idea of what the Obituary new stuff sounds like. So we're excited about it. The album is already finished. It has already been recorded and mixed, and is waiting for the March release next year.
It took you a lot of time with Inked in Blood, writing, recording, rewriting again, until you decided that you are finally satisfied. But you have an advantage that you have your own studio actually, and you know, you can configure your own stuff and writing again, recording, whatsoever. But keeping that in mind, I think for the upcoming album things are pretty smooth about the writing session. So is that correct?
No, that is correct, and you know, it's always nice to have the time to record the songs and listen to them, and then make necessary adjustments to them and fix them to make them a little more powerful, or whatever you think is needed. And Obituary is never in a hurry to release records. There's not a timeline that we put on ourselves. We just we want to just make sure the songs are good. And with this album, especially with this new one, the songs just came together so naturally, and having Ken and Terry in the band, I guess it's just an inkling of how tight the band members are, and how just how much fun we're having as a band right now, and it shows with these new songs, because they're well thought of and well executed on the new album. So we are super excited about this.
As I mentioned, your new album will come out next year in March via Relapse Records. You have a structure by your own when you are writing the songs. So after 3 decades, is it difficult for you to, you know, keeping writing fresh and memorable songs?
You know, because it has been 30 years together, sometimes in our career it did feel a little bit difficult coming up with original thoughts and new ideas. But honestly, with these last 2 albums, it's been nothing but fun, and that's sometimes not the case, especially in the studio. I think if you interview enough band members, you'll learn that instead of the studio being fun, it's usually nerve-wracking and a nightmare for a lot of people because for whatever reason, when you're writing the songs and just working on them by yourselves, it's a whole different ballgame than when you push the record button. Then you get nervous and the nerves take over and it's no longer fun. It's more nerve-wracking than ever. But with this new album and with our mindset, it is a treat. It is real fun for the band. We're having a blast in the studio, and that's a rarity for us.
Since the beginning of your existence, you haven't changed your style. So, Obituary, one of those rare death metal bands that keep writing 6 songs with grooves. How important is for you to add these grooves in your songs?
I think it's everything. I think at this point, the Obituary logo, the Obituary music style, and Obituary staying relevant in the music world, I think it's bigger than any band member. It's not about myself or Trevor or my brother anymore. I think we almost have a duty to stay true to Obituary because, we've never been a band to try and reinvent the wheel. We know we're not the most technical band in the world. We don't want to be, but we do know it's important to keep that same Florida death metal groove style that we developed from early on, and we do one thing very well. We play Obituary music very well. We're not good at blast beats or 1,000-mile-an-hour bass drums, and we're okay with that. We're happy with the style that we created, and I think, and most importantly, the fans don't want change. They want new music and to listen to, but they don't want us to change. Because why would we? Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah. For Inked in Blood, you did a crowdfunding. Have you thought to do this again for the new album, or maybe for next DVD? I don't know.
I don't know if we'll ever do that again. It was an amazing experience. To use the word fun might not be the perfect description, because it was a cool idea, but to execute it and to actually deliver and mail 900 and something packages from our studio by ourselves, which we did, it was a enormous task for us to do, especially because we were still trying to finish recording the record and get it ready when we knew that we are setting a deadline for ourselves to deliver the Kickstarter stuff. So it was a cool experience, but I am not in any hurry to do that again.
Yeah. Bands these days are using a Patreon, and it's a platform which fans can subscribe to get all the news from the band. So have you thought to use the same?
That's news to me. Yeah, I don't know. Obituary,
you should give it a try, maybe.
Maybe we should try. The internet is a wonderful thing for fans. We know that we know that when it first started, the big reality for bands was album sales went straight into the garbage can, and we cried about it for about a split second when it comes to Obituary. Maybe other bands will still cry about it, but you can't do anything about it. Instead, you have to use it to your advantage, and the internet is there for us to simply inform our fans with what's going on. And with one click of their phone or their computer, they get to hear new stuff and they get to see shows online, and I think that's amazing, and that's very powerful, and it's a great tool for bands. Obituary will not cry about album sales because we never had great album sales anyway. We are a band that has to stay on tour. You have to tour. You have to have merch sales to make it in this profession. So again, the internet is here. It's not going anywhere. Any of these platforms that are coming up, we will always have a look at. There's always great ideas out there. If the new ones stick, that's great. If not, then we will still talk to our fans through social networks.
Yeah. Getting back in the past, how do you remember those days when you have released Slowly We Rot? Because of that, legendary albums in the death metal scene. So, how impact had those albums in the metal scene?
It was a huge impact because there was no internet. There was no way of communicating with your fans except getting on a plane and coming to Europe, and the fans waiting for it to be in a record store and going and physically grabbing a hold of it. That was so tremendous, and it was so amazing. And we all forget about this now. We all have smartphones in our hands. We don't even care. I don't think majority of the people even care if they have a physical copy of a CD anymore, and it's sad to me, but it is the reality. It's just reality. It's going to always be this way. It's never going to go back to the way it was. So those times were very precious to us, and how quickly technology is pushing us forward. Whether old guys like me want to be pushed, technology is grabbing and dragging us all very quickly through the future, and we're just trying to. We're a couple cavemen trying to move at the speed of time here.
Yeah. Is this the final tour for Ink in Blood? Are you planning for the next year a new tour?
Yeah, of course. This is the final tour for this album, and we were lucky enough to record the 2 new songs before we left, and to record the entire album. We were still recording the record 3 days before we left for this tour because we had a deadline to make a release date in March. So we knew that we had to get the album recorded before we got on the airplane, which we accomplished. But our engineer back in America was still producing the album when we left, and we did the mix by sending emails and listening, and the band giving him our thoughts, and if the drums are loud enough, or turn the kick drums down a little bit, or the solo here. We were still doing the mixing online with him as we did this tour. So that's the first time we've ever done that. So yeah, back to the question, this is the last tour for the Inked in Blood album, and more importantly, this is the first tour to promote the new Obituary, and we're extremely excited about it.
Let's imagine that for you will be planned a tour, and you should take 3 other death metal bands with you. What will be those?
God, I don't know. I mean, if it was up to me, it would be Slayer and Venom, and I would open. Because that would be my dream tour, because Slayer has been always my favorite metal band in the world, and Venom was one of the best true black metal godfathers of all metal bands, and that would be a dream tour for me.
And speaking about death metal bands, what would be those death metal bands you would take with you?
Oh God, I don't know. That's a terrible question for me, because I don't listen to all that much death metal because I live death metal. So when I go home, I get away from the metal music nearly completely. So there's so many great bands that could be on the road with us, and I think we're very fortunate to have Obituary and Exodus to share a bus and to share a tour with, and then to bring King Parrot and give something different and cool for the fans. And Tommy Prong being on this tour is just a bonus, and I think the fans will they're really showing their appreciation, and we're very, very proud to be a part of this tour.
To end this interview, what is your message for all the metalheads which support Obituary?
It's not even necessarily a message. It's just it's the reality that metalheads are still one of the true music fans. Then they're the ones that still follow the bands with 100% commitment, and they love their music, and it's very Obituary appreciates that 100%, because other styles of music in the hip-hop world and country music, I think, have lost their way. I don't think in America anyway that music really makes any sense anymore, and it's done nothing but go down in quality. But metal bands are still holding their own and coming up with great ideas, and great musicians are still in the death metal world, and death metal fans are very lucky to be a part of good music, and the death metal bands are even more lucky to have fans like them, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you for this interview again. It was my pleasure.